All right, what's up, everybody? This is Group 315. This is Russ.
Beth and
Savanna.
And today we're just talking about Harry and Sally and reflecting off of that. The last time we discussed this movie together, there was a lot of different things happening compared to where we picked up in the movie. Harry and Sally's relationship had basically just begun the last time we were in here kind of analyzing it, compared to where we picked up in the movie recently, over halfway through towards the end. But the emotional intelligence of the characters have obviously changed and evolved the more of the movie. We're just gonna start with the development of Harry and how his emotional intelligence was so much lower at the beginning of the movie compared to now.
Yeah, I'd say like at the beginning, Harry was a very task-oriented listener. He was really just talking to Sally because he wanted to have sex with her, and that kind of started this whole little dialogue of you can't be friends with a woman or something like that.
Like men and women can't be friends.
You definitely see it in that car ride to New York, him just honestly just being a douchebag a little bit, and Sally just throwing it right back in his face, and him doing all these crazy things like spitting on the window and hanging out the window and putting his feet up on the dash, all of that stuff kind of contributing to just starting the relationship, and that's the way that he acted in the beginning of the relationship versus how he changed throughout the movie.
I think a lot of that too comes with maturity, and it was interesting to see everyone's involvement over time, and that also comes with age. How many years were they actually friends?
I think it was 12 or 13, I think.
Yeah, a long time.
Because, I remember, I think
the first half of that, they weren't even really friends. They just ran into each other.
I think at 10 years after they met is when they started becoming friends. And I think it was another 2 or 3 years before they got married.
Mm-hmm. I would say this point in time, when they're such close friends, older, and everything was happening in their lives, super busy, I would say Harry definitely became a relational listener. I know that he rushed over to comfort Sally whenever she was upset. Her ex was getting engaged, or married, ex-fiance.
Yeah.
But relational listeners just tend to prefer listening to people express their emotions and feelings, and so they're good at searching for common interests and want to emphasize the feelings of others. And I think he became more in tune with his emotions as he was older, obviously. But at the same time, they've been friends for so long, and you could really tell that he felt for her in a different way.
I think what facilitated that, honestly, what kind of made him transform into the relational listener is what you were saying earlier, the maturity thing, but also, too, when he divorced from his wife. I think that he was kind of that douchebag personality that, I'm a man and it's going to be my way because it's a man's world personality, until he got in that relationship, that serious relationship. And then it ended. I think once it ended, that kind of changed his perspective a lot and caused him to reevaluate. And it took him a long time to progress and get over that. And that, I think, is what ultimately developed his emotional intelligence and caused him to be more of a relational listener.
Mm-hmm. He was still being kind of emotionally unintelligent, though. I remember the one scene where they were at a party with Marie and Jess, and I don't know, they were getting jealous seeing it was where they were yelling about the table, about Jess's table, and they went outside, and Harry, if I remember correctly, got mad at Sally because she never talked about her past relationship, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how it was?
Yeah, and he was like, you always hold everything in, nothing ever bothers you, nothing phases you, and she was saying, that's totally not true.
So I wonder if he was just, because he was a good friend and he did listen to a lot, so I wonder if he just got tired of listening and her never bringing up her past, and so maybe kind of went off.
Yeah, I think that scene right there with when they were out on the patio arguing after the table, I think that's a really good scene that demonstrates the role reversal that we were talking about earlier. Yeah. Where you would normally see that kind of interaction with the guy instead of the girl, Sally holding things in and not talking about her past relationship with her fiance is kind of what you would expect from a guy instead of a girl. And then Harry being the one over communicating his feelings in that moment would have been from the perspective of a girl typically. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, typically, like, dudes will get over it a lot faster in most situations. Can't speak for everyone, but, and I know, I mean, kind of personal situation for me right now, but I'm kind of over it. I think Max isn't, but, you know.
It happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I thought, you know, this might not be anything, but I thought it was interesting how after they had their little argument, powwow, he immediately was like, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I shouldn't have done that. I'm so sorry. They hugged, they made up.
True.
And I don't know if that could necessarily be a gender.
It was a very immediate forgiveness. I don't know if that is. Yeah.
And they kind of realized, okay, don't want to fight. Let's just stop this now. And I wish that were more prevalent in people today. But
Something else while we're on the topic of role reversal is like, remember when Sally was talking with her friends about like looking for a guy, and then Harry and Jess were at the football game, and they were Harry was talking about like his relationship. I can't remember if he was divorced at that point or not, or was like thinking about getting a divorce or what, but I found something in the book on gender and listening styles, and it talks about like a masculine listening style versus a feminine listening style. And in the feminine listening style, it says like search for relationships among pieces of information in the message, and then like reinforce the existing structure in the message and stuff. And that's the feminine listening style, but that's how like Harry and Jess were discussing it at the football game. They were being very like
analytical.
Yeah, I guess analytical is a good way to say it. And then with the girls, when they were eating lunch and talking, they were just kind of like, oh, I have this guy and this guy and this guy. Like they were like looking, like they were trying to like figure out Sally's problem, like find her a guy, and that's more of a masculine listening style.
And like,
so,
how do we solve this?
Yeah.
Let's just get it done, and not necessarily as much emotion as you would think women would have.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I think at that point in the movie, it was adding a whole lot of pressure to Sally's life to get in a relationship. And then Harry, the pressure it was a different kind of pressure. It was like a pressure to like get it out and get over with it.
Yeah, because he's like stressed out in it.
So this is a question that just came to mind. What do y'all think about the holiday season? They're all playing board games at their friends' houses, and they're starting to date two different people. And you can see as, like, Sally was at the whiteboard with her guy. I don't think they ever even said his name. Like, he kissed her on the cheek, and Harry notices. And it's kind of like Harry's body language and the way he's observing. And then the same thing happened with Harry and his girl, and Sally notices from across the room. What do y'all think was going on in their heads? Do you think there was any form of, like, jealousy maybe, or...
100%.
Yeah,
like,
I 100% think that there was jealousy there. And I think that is, in the textbook, it was talking a lot about, or not really a lot, but it talked a little about meta messaging, like reading between the lines of the message. And I think that was what was going on there. Like, the message that I think both of them were trying to give was that, oh, I'm happy in this relationship, but both of them knew it, they weren't, and they wanted the other.
It's a total contradiction.
Right, total contradiction to what they were like trying to get the other to think. So I think reading between the lines of that meta message would have been beneficial for the both of them.
Yeah. So shortly after that scene, we go to the whole incident of Sally calls Harry super upset, distraught, crying, emotional. He comes over. I know Jackson touched on this a little bit, but the whole kiss. What do y'all think about that?
I really want to spend this time of my portion of this podcast to talk about the main scene. There's a couple scenes, but I really want to talk about Harry and Sally. When Sally broke up, well, not broke up, but when Sally's ex-husband called her and told her, hey, I'm about to get married. You know, we had to talk about this in class. You know, a lot of people said, hey, Harry took advantage of Sally, but I really don't think so. Yeah, Harry kissed her first. However, Sally leaned in the second time to kiss her, which kind of, opened up. Harry wasn't very aggressive towards her. He was, laid back, just there to comfort her. But since he felt like it was the right time, I would say in a sense, not really not right time, but just in the moment. Excuse me. But yeah, in the moment, I feel like he did not take advantage of her. As you know, a lot of people were saying that, and no, he didn't.
So it's obviously the wrong time in my opinion, because everyone's emotions were super high. But
I don't know. I don't know his intentions. Like, it's kind of unclear. But like, we were talking about it in class, and we were talking about how that's just a way. It's like kissing somebody on the cheek. Back then, people would just kiss people on the lips. So maybe he was just trying to comfort her. A little weird in today's era, but like maybe that was different back then. But regardless of if he was trying to ignite something or if he was just trying to comfort her, Sally definitely was like igniting
Inviting
something.
him in.
Inviting him in. So
yeah. And I think at that point in time in their relationship, they were both engaging in a lot of self-disclosure. It talks about that in the book, and they were both reciprocating the other's self-disclosure, like revealing parts of themselves that they maybe wouldn't to a stranger. And we talked about this in class, but how self-disclosure often accelerates feelings of closeness, or at least inflated closeness. So they had this increased depth of their relationship, and so the interactions they're having are increasing and becoming more and more intimate. And that relationship, I think, or at that time in the movie, is when it kind of had its climax there. Like the intimacy had gotten to a point of, we're about to cross a boundary here. And then they did, and then it was a little bit awkward.
Yeah, once you cross that boundary, there's no turning around. Like, once you do it, it's done, it's over.
It's like awkward, but I don't know. Like, they were both waiting for that for years. I feel like, I don't know. Very interesting situation.
That was like the turning point in their friendship, deepening into like romance.
Bad timing, I think.
Horrible timing.
Any other time, maybe, but.
And neither one of them was honest about their feelings afterwards.
I don't know if it would have necessarily.
They just blew it off and were like, it's whatever.
That's another meta messaging moment when they were both like, it doesn't matter, it was just a kiss. But both of them wanted it to be more than that.
I don't know if it would have necessarily even happened, if you think about it, if it wasn't in that moment. I'm sure later down the line, maybe, but I guess she was vulnerable, acting upon impulse and emotion, and that's never good. And then I think he just kind of wanted to be there for her, and then things just got carried away. But I think
he remembered his original thoughts from the beginning of the movie.
I guess so.
I think the thoughts never went away, to be quite honest.
No, they definitely did. I mean,
I
they ended up
think
getting
he always
married.
wanted, he always wanted Sally.
Yeah, but I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. It's probably my favorite movie we saw in class.
Yeah, I'd probably say the same.
So,
pretty solid movie.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's been fun. Yeah. It's been good, and we will catch you all on the flip.
Thanks for listening.
This is Beth Ann,
Russ,
Savanna,
and Jackson is traveling.
What's going on, everybody? It's Jackson Fields here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to speak with my group because I'm going on a trip for basketball. Wish me luck. Dinner or lunch date, what they had. When they were eating salad, Harry and Sally were in the back of their head. They were, thinking about the things that piss them off or the other person makes them mad about. I'm sorry, I'm under the weather. But they were both looking for an out on why they don't like the other person. They were both looking for an out. I can't remember the exact term that's in the textbook. They're both looking for an out for each other. Sally didn't like the way Harry was chewing, and Harry just doesn't like the way that she always orders her food. And this also goes to the New Year's interaction. This shows Harry's growth, I feel like. Harry put his pride to the side. I mean, not really pride. He's been trying to contact Sally for a long time and just trying to talk to her. And so when he ran from where he was to go meet her for New Year's and tell her he loved her, that showed me growth and showed me that he was, he was like, I'm done with this. I really want her. I really want this woman. I love this woman. He told her that. She didn't believe him. And once he sat there and broke it down, everything that he loved to her, she knew, he's in love with me. And she knew that she loved him, but she didn't really want to say it. But she had those feelings inside. And we also saw these feelings from her inside whenever the two of them were dancing. They both were dancing, and they had, a sense of connection, or just they felt a bond together whenever they were both dancing in the huddle, but dancing at the party, neck to neck, cheek to cheek. Just showed that both of them knew that there was something there. They needed to spark it up. They just never knew when it was going to happen. those were the main things I wanted to talk about. Again, I'm Jackson Fields with my podcast. I'm out.